Welcome back, Ravens flock, to another episode of Ravens Across the Pond, the only unofficial official Ravens podcast where the reply to a question such as "Who's got it better than us?" "Fuck off" is allowed. I'm going to say something now that Todd Monken and John Harbaugh haven't said clearly for the last 3 weeks, and that is, watch the tape. And we're back. DT, welcome back.
Good to have us. Good to have us. Good to have me. I don't know what I'm even saying. I'm still fuming from last night. Yeah, we're gonna have to change that intro as well because it says all the hides, and I'm struggling to find any. But yeah, good to be here. Love it.
Yeah. And you may notice we've got a new host with us tonight. The only way I can introduce him really is he's got a brand new combine harvester and he'll give you the key. Welcome to the show, Oliver.
Cheers, Tom. Lovely to be here. I'm happy to join what I thought was a therapy session for balding white men in their 30s, but I see that Rich and Nathan couldn't join us tonight, so we'll just sit here and I'll get a hat like you guys soon.
Yeah, they're both rammed with other commitments. Yeah, there is kind of a running theme, the Ravens, the last 3 weeks. If that theme was toilet-related comments, because it has just been utter shite, really. We've been lucky the last 2 weeks before this Bengals game. Coming into Thanksgiving Thursday, we were kind of saying that we said in the last episode what we were thankful for with the Ravens, and now, day after Thanksgiving, the only thing that I was thankful for is that I slept through my alarm, snoozed it, woke up, and the game was over, so I didn't have to sit through it all. I did sit through it all today in work. Wasn't an enjoyable couple of hours watching that. DT, I mean, before we go into some other things, just your immediate reaction to that defeat.
I mean, I didn't have the fortitude of sleeping through my alarm. I had to wake up and watch the Ravens in the middle of the night, like I always do. Chatting on WhatsApp with a few other choice individuals that decided to put themselves through that torture and sacrifice 4 hours of sleep for a lot more stress. And I don't think I was balding before, but I certainly am after watching that game. That's my immediate thoughts.
Ollie, I take it you're similar.
Mate, like I've never watched a game in 40 before and thought, 3 minutes left, I thought, I don't know if I can make it to the end. It was just a struggle. I think we've finally seen that then Vikings, Browns, Jets, and looking somewhat competent has just fallen apart, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Just on last night's game, obviously 32-14 lost to division rivals, the Bengals. It was a historic night for all the wrong reasons. Lamar Jackson and co broke numerous records en route to giving up the division lead to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Among numerous stats, a couple that stick out for me. The Ravens lost 4 fumbles for the first time since week 10 of the 2007 season. That was also against the Cincinnati Bengals. John Harbaugh at that point hadn't taken the reins, and Lamar Jackson was only 10. Obviously, last night, Jackson, 2 fumbles, tight end Isaiah Likely, another fumble. Zay Flowers with another fumble. Zay Flowers this season couldn't catch a avian flu if he bought food from a Chinese food market. The total 5 turnovers altogether last night for the Ravens was the first time they have reached that number since week 4, 2013. That was at Buffalo. And the team hadn't turned over the ball 5 times in a home game in 18 years, dating all the way back to when Peyton Manning's Colts turned up in December 2007. Lamar Jackson, 3 games now on the bounce where he hasn't thrown a touchdown. Clearly, there is issues with Lamar Jackson. He's not fit. There is issues with Todd Monken. We've discussed it at length on this pod, and chairman of the Todd Monken fan club in the middle there, DT, has has been given Todd Monken a hard time. Some would say a hard time. I agree with everything that DT has said about Todd Monken. Is that the straw that broke the camel's back? We'll discuss that. Obviously, we're going to discuss Lamar Jackson's decline in form. The last 3 games and overall the season. I know he's been out injured, but it's definitely a down year for Lamar. Is it just injuries, or is it O-line, just the scheme that Todd Monken is creating? The Ravens going into this game had a chance to restrict the Bengals. The Bengals offense had failed to score more than 20 points in the last 2 games. The Ravens defense rolled into town, allowed them to put 32 on the board. The defense had also prevented opponents from scoring 20 plus points in the last 6 games. That streak was snapped at the bank on Thanksgiving. Obviously, the Ravens are now 6-6. They've got to face the Steelers twice in the remaining 5 games. They also go up against the Bengals once again. And then the other 2 fixtures, the New England Patriots, the only team with 10-plus wins this season, and the Green Bay Packers. A lot to take in there, Jen. So we'll just start off with the historically shite night that was for the Ravens.
I mean, we were lucky it was only 5 turnovers because there was one towards the end that was battered down. The Bengals were lucky to do that. Well, they were lucky. It was lucky for us that they did it because they did it to get better field position. They could have easily have caught it, and they actually opted to not catch it on purpose. So could have easily been 6 turnovers, which I don't even know when the last time, if we've ever done that in a game. So an absolute mad game. And to your point around Lamar, it was frustrating because it started off looking fairly bright. That first drive, opening play, great play call. Lamar suddenly looked a bit, a different player with his legs. His legs were working. And then on the day that his legs decided to work, his arms stopped working. And, it's like our season. One day the offense works, the defense don't work. One day the defense works, the offense doesn't work. You can never get both at the same time. And apparently with Lamar, we can't get all of his limbs working at the same time either. Get to pick your 2.
I think with Lamar, I'd say, is encouraging, wasn't it? So we could see a little bit of that nimbleness that we haven't seen for weeks. For me, it just looked like he moving laterally. Looked fine. As when he tried to put the gas on and go up the pitch, he's getting caught out. He's only 1 yard past the line and just it's not where he needs to be, where he was before. For me, I think we've all spoken about ad nauseum, but he's just lost all confidence, and so he should in that O-line. There's no time for him back there than when it has been. But it's something we don't often see from Lamar's missing players high and low, and that's unusual. With him, it's either on the money or it's miles away. But he's just not helped out by the rest of the team tonight.
I mean, the O-line has been running kind of segments on this podcast and in other media outlets. Pretty much every article you read about the Ravens, it's the O-line. There was a comment in the community WhatsApp before about EDC and the fact it's I don't know whether it might have been you, Ollie. Was it malpractice?
We could talk about him picking up all the good free agents that we all moan about at the time and say, "Oh, that's great with Gilman and Jones." But I said to put him behind that O-line, this malpractice as a owner. If he's a GP putting out that sort of behaviour, he'd have been struck off by now. You just can't have your best asset just running for his life constantly.
Yeah, and I mean, I hate to bring this up again. The trade deadline is long on now. Why the fuck didn't they give up a 5th for Zietler? I'm not saying it would have rectified the issues, but it is a hell of a lot better than what we have got at the moment. And you just, Lamar is frustrated. He's devoid of confidence. He's carrying injuries. And when, I'm going to call him a 3-time MVP, like him, he's carrying as many injuries as he clearly hasn't been fit all year. Clearly been, even if it's just niggles, elite athletes like that, you'll know that, Ollie, being an elite rugby athlete, niggles like that, you need to try and find confidence from elsewhere, your teammates around you. I said on the pod the other night, I think that there's other ways to protect Lamar Jackson, run the ball better. Obviously, we couldn't guarantee that the O-line were going to turn up, but it's embarrassing. There was quotes come out from Lamar Jackson last night. I'll read them in full. They're only short, but I'll read them in full. So he was obviously asked about the performance, and the Ravens like teetering on the edge of where the season goes from now. He said, "I can't describe the level of frustration. I'm ticked off. Turnovers are a big part of winning or losing games. Turning the ball over and giving them an extra possession pushes the outcome." And then he goes, there was a further question about turnovers, and he just said that can't have that shit. That's why we lost the game. As you can see, we moved the ball wonderfully. It's just kind of hold on to the fucking ball. Sorry for the language. That shit's annoying. I'm tired of this shit. So obviously, we've never really, we've heard Lamar be frustrated at times. Playoff losses and and other performances in the league. If he gets beat by somebody, he wants to make sure the next time he faces them, he gets the win. But we've never seen or heard anything like that from Lamar. So for him to come out and say something like that, and be up on that, put his head above the parapet, and go, what, I have had enough of this. To me, kind of shows that that's just that was the straw that broke the camel's back for Lamar Jackson last night. Earlier on in the season, the whole thing with recreational things getting moved out of the changing rooms and the facilities came out that was Lamar Jackson. So I just do not think he is happy from the top down with this organisation and what has been going on.
Yeah, I mean, it might be that's what's playing on his mind, and that led to it. It's easy for him to get annoyed, but at the end of the day, it was him that he needed to be annoyed at. Yeah, last night. Previously, you've seen him get annoyed when a receiver's dropped a ball or a receiver's fumbled, and it's caused the game to just completely change. But this was on him. So, whatever it is that's causing his frustration, whatever it's causing him to not be there, whether it's an injury and he's frustrated about what caused that, or whether it's just something that's going on behind the scenes, I don't know. But I wanted him to stand out and say, that was on me. And he didn't do it as much as I would have liked to see.
I saw Harbaugh come out and said that everything was on him last night. So, cheers, John.
Yeah,
I know. I know, mate. You're the head coach. Sort it out.
Yeah. Stating the obvious, water's wet.
It's just, I mean, it just was a baffling game to watch. Like, I've not watched a game like that as a Ravens fan. Even, 2016, where that some sketchy games, but it's the hope that kills you, isn't it? You don't expect to have to watch that kind of a shit show when we've had the players that we have surrounding us. It's, we've been spoiled by choice, and, not to say we're spoiled and go back to Hamilton's interview, but, we have been because we've got these amazing players and we have an expectation that comes with that. And it's just games like that really kind of leave you lost for words almost.
Someone who's got to be surely feeling the heat now. Earlier on in the season, it was Zach Ord, defensive coordinator. Todd Monken. He, throughout all of the season, he has had the chance to prove himself as one of the elite, better offensive minds in the league. And in fact, what he's done this season, especially last night, has it's been like the total opposite, and it leaves, I think, serious questions needing to be asked, and difficult questions about his future in Baltimore. Look, I don't like to see anybody lose the job. Actually, tell a lie. There's quite a few people. However, it has been nothing short of utter utter, I don't want to say shite again because I use that word all the time. Utter
You are
dross.
Scouse.
Yeah, utter dross. He's been awful. Every time the offense enters the red zone, it loses all ability to move the football. I said the other week, 2024, we were league best pace for red zone touchdown conversions, and they've found the end zone less than half the time this year. Obviously, the offensive line, significant issue, pocket collapsing, and especially from the interior. Derek Henry has failed to find consistency when running in between tackles. Harbaugh experimented with Emory Jones at left guard, but that hasn't changed anything. And still, despite all of those issues on the offensive front, Derek Henry, this is like another bit of malpractice for me. He cannot finish that game with 10 carries because he was moving fairly well on the ground. However, when the Ravens fell behind by 2 scores in the second half, and Monken moved away from Henry, just as he always does it in those situations. It is so fucking predictable. You can see it coming, and he didn't have to. And I think the biggest concerning factor for me is throughout his whole time in Baltimore is the OC. We haven't had. I can't name a single game. We've had huge wins, great performances. But out of every single performance, I can't pick a performance where the Ravens offense has been firing on all 4 cylinders for all 4 quarters. There hasn't been one. Anybody listening, I'm intrigued. Come on and tell me I am wrong. But there isn't one. Is there a serious question to be asked now about Todd Monken and where do the Ravens go from here?
I think just worry about his sort of personnel usage. Did you see which running back led the team in carries last night or snaps last night?
I bet it was fucking Ali, wasn't it?
Rasheen Ali, yeah.
And his snaps was terrible. When he was put in the game, bear in mind Mitchell again had a great breakout run, little pass movement. That was one of the only good play calls of the night. Great little run down there, and obviously it works really well. Oh, fuck it, let's just get rid of it now. Let's stop doing that again. Let's bring Ali in. And now I don't know how many yards he finished on, but it can't have been very much at all because I don't remember seeing anything decent. Maybe 2 yards probably.
I think it was good. That was the point when I felt positive because the Mitchell touchdown was set up by a Lamar run the opposite way.
Yeah.
So zone read, everyone just runs round. Great block by Save Flowers. I'm sure everyone's seen that pancake block, but it's just we just move away from the run so quickly. I think, we had our issues with Greg Roman, didn't we? But if he's in charge, I can see Henry running it up the gut 30 times a game. But
yeah.
It's what we all knew when we signed Henry, and it's when he was at Tennessee. And if he's ever done, you can see him every game. In general, it's 2 to 4 yards a carry for the first 2 quarters. By the end of the middle of the third quarter, teams get tired of tackling him, and that's when he runs off. But if you don't give in the snaps, that doesn't happen. And sometimes our offense isn't on their field long enough to get them tired. So
I get it to a degree. I get Todd Monken, right, we're chasing the game now, so we've got to try and throw it. We need to be able to score some quick touchdowns to give us time to get back on the field and score some more touchdowns. Like, I get that. That is kind of football 101. It makes sense. But when we can't fucking throw the ball last night, we can't throw the ball. Lamar's throws are all over the place. The only thing that actually was working at that point was Henry. He was actually making some great plays. He had the little pass catch over the middle that went for ages. Their defense was clearly tired, and they're a terrible run defense as it is anyway, going into the game. Like, it's working. Maybe it takes a little bit longer, sure, but if you can get some big runs, you're going to make some 30-yard runs or whatever. Just keep battering them, tire them out, and just crack on with it. Do what's working in the game. Don't just kind of go into the game plan with your idea of, right, this is what we're going to do for winning. This is what we're going to do for losing. Mix it up. There was one point during that game where you may not have seen if you're watching on the Game in 40, went to Todd Monken in the booth and he was there with his notepad and he was scribbling something out. And I was thinking, well, he hasn't got a fucking clue, has he? He's like, oh, no, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Well, just try something. Come on, man.
And this is the thing. Like I said the other week, Like when we were talking about red zone struggles on another episode, like you can't blame the struggles on offense, just mainly on the two things. Like, you can't just blame it on the O line. Yeah, having a solid O line, with preferably less holes than a pack of fucking polos helps. And you can't blame it on the lack of talent, because as I've said, the year 2025 Baltimore offense is without doubt, in my opinion, the most loaded that Lamar Jackson has had at his disposal. You've got your wide receiver trio of Zay Flowers, D-Hop, Bateman. You've got possibly the best tight end room in the NFL. Mark Andrews, likely Charlie Kohler. I nearly said Mark Henry then, world's strongest man. Derek Henry is still a top
Can we get
back
him
in
in
the
our
league.
O-line? Let's get Mark Henry in our O-line. That'd be good.
Derek Henry is still a top back in the league. Pat Ricard, since he's come back, you can see when he is leading the way, the rushing attack is dangerous. The only
in the game last
player.
night.
Sorry, what was that?
He was hardly in the game last night either.
Yeah,
Pat Ricard was absent.
And this is what I'm saying. And the only player that the Ravens lost in the off-season was Pat McCarty, who was league average at best. So this downfall does not stem just from McCarty, going down the road to Jacksonville. It's not just on the issues that the O-line have had. It's more about the absolute, like, kind of cataclysmic downfall of regression of Todd Monken's play calling. Like, he follows up explosive plays with plays that then go for fucking net zero gain or negative yardage, and that has been the main fucking downfall for this offense this year.
Speaking of O-line, I just want to know, what on earth is Ben Cleveland doing in training? He's just just standing up, and just shitting his pants and throwing it at John Harbaugh or something. Because
I don't know
what has he done wrong? Like,
I don't know why
how can he be worse than Voorhees and Filele? Like,
he must just be an absolute dog on special teams, and that's his only role. Because I just don't understand why he's even still a member of this organisation. I mean, he's not
paid. He's loving life, but come on.
Yeah. I think Ben Cleveland. I think Ben Cleveland wrote in the on the back of a toilet door, John Harbaugh is on the Epstein files. So do you know what I mean? It is. I think that is serious, regardless of what happens. I've said, like, if the Ravens make the playoffs, they're gonna get blown out week one. Maybe they might win a wild card. They're coming up against. They're going to be coming up against hardened teams, and I've mentioned some of the fixtures coming up. It's like you're coming up against an extremely, extremely well coached New England Patriots team soon, and I look at someone like the all right, yeah, they've had poor seasons, obviously, since the dynasty kind of came to a natural end and fell apart. So they've had great draft positions, but they've also made great moves off the field. They've brought in great staff, and you look at that turnaround in the New England Patriots, and like a lot of that is down to get the right fucking coaching staff in.
Yeah, I think they have had an awful lot of absolute dross in that meantime. If you think we're moaning now about Todd Monken, wait until we've got like Steve Belichick calling plays for us or something like that. I think we'll all lose everything.
No, that's what I'm saying. But that turnaround, of Stafford, I just think I look at that Patriots game coming up, and it's just gonna. I can't even compare it to you go back to 2009, 10, 11, 12. Them years where it was constant, good Ravens teams against the great Patriot teams, and a great Ravens team in 2012 getting the job done against them. But it's not even going to be like that. They're going to be going up against a And the reason why I'm using them as an example is because of what I've said. They're a well-coached team. We've had questions now at some point this season about the defensive coordinator and his assistants. When there's now serious questions not being asked just by us, by people with serious skin in the game about Todd Monken and what is he doing? Because I look at Todd Monken now, and I don't think Todd Monken could find his own arse with his own hands in a dark room. I just don't know what he's doing. So you look at that, the questions there raised about your two main coordinators, special teams, that can't really raise many questions about them apart from the game the other week, with the penalties and all that. But comes down to then you need to start looking at who brought these guys in, who's above them, who is dealing with these guys. And if you're raising questions about Todd Monken, does Big Steve pull the plug on John Harbaugh come the end of this year? I think we all know it's going to be a polite kind of way that Seattle did it with Pete Carroll and be like, there's a job for you upstairs, nice comfy seat. Is this where we're going?
Look what's happened to Seattle since then. Obviously, Mike McDonald there. Obviously, it's a tough subject, but they're 8-3, are they? I think, and they've had a few shite seasons, and all of a sudden now they're flying again. It's like this is what can happen when you make the right decisions and you make the call that needs to be made.
I suppose I don't know if Stevie Biscuits is so sort of aligned to worrying about winning or losing that much. I think the thing that will hit him is, I don't know if it came across on the broadcast last night at DTV when I was watching Game in 40, some of the crowd shots, it's like the crowd's half empty towards the end of the fourth. It's just, and that's when decisions start to get made. I think he actually attended the game last night, which is not a frequent occurrence. So maybe him seeing sort of audience reaction in person might actually change something on that. But ultimately, where do we go next?
Yeah. I mean, as a Cardiff fan that's been mentioned a few times, I know what it's like to have an absolute mental owner that doesn't pay attention to the fans. So who knows? But
I think we'll all be
that's
playing
the
in
kind
red
of thing.
next year.
Yeah, let's get Vincent Tan the head coach. I mean, it's one of those things. I think the defense, we talked about Zach Orr at the start of the season. He has turned a corner. There's been some personnel change on the field, which has helped him in terms of being able to have Hamilton in that role. We've spoken about it numerous times, but it's one of those things where we can't afford for it to happen again next season, where it has a shit start and then it gets better. Like it can't be rinse and repeat, but there is a bit more faith there. And I think I saw a couple of comments yesterday saying, "Oh, defense letting up 30 plus points, terrible performance by the defense." But I don't think that game was on the defense at all. I think the defense generally put in a good shift. They stood up when they needed to. That fumble on the 2-yard line turned into nothing, not even a touchdown, because they tried to go for it on 4. Like, that was a huge performance by the defense. And then there's only so much they can do when you look at the time they're on the field. They're absolutely shattered by the second half. Like, you can't expect your defense to sustain that all game when the offense are just getting thrown off the pitch in rapid time.
Yeah, I thought Awuzie had a good game as well in the back end, and they only the Bengals only scored their first 2 touchdowns after Wiggins went out. And I think Harbaugh said he's probably not going to play next week as well, which is even more worrying. But up until then, I think we were holding them quite stout. Obviously, they get the same thing again. As much as we said how Draymond Jones coming across been good, but there is absolutely nothing up front. We can't expect our secondary to just follow people for 3, 4, 5 seconds. I know Burrow gets it out quick, but the pass rush, and you see teams getting pressure on us with just a 4-man rush. That happens to us, and we just cannot match it at all.
Yeah, he gets the ball out quick, and that's what the thing is. But if he gets to that quick in a panic, then that's when you get errant throws. But we weren't causing that panic, and we weren't double teaming Chase like we should have been. First half, it was just kind of a bit of zone that wasn't going to work with the slow pass rush. By the second half, obviously with the loss of Wiggins, and for a period of time, he was in concussion protocol, but he was thankfully cleared. Like, then Chase was just going to eat. And Chase is just one of those players. You have to respect him. I don't think there's any cornerback in the league. I think I said it in the community earlier. Like, Chase is a better wide receiver than any cornerback in the league is a cornerback, in my opinion. So, you're not going to, any cornerback in the league isn't going to consistently beat him on a one-on-one. So you have to just account for that. And we weren't accounting for it out front, and we weren't accounting for it in the secondary for a lot of the game.
mean, to be fair, he didn't score, so
No, but he took huge
Yeah.
yardage out, and that was the thing. It was the big yardage plays that killed us for part of it, and that was probably the only negative side I'd say on the defense, personally.
I think
The-
that with
the-
all this, even with with all of what we have said, all the negativity, I think we are still like so close to becoming just above average team. If Likely hadn't if Likely hadn't put his arm out, he's down at maybe down at a 1. We probably
Zay,
to be fair, we probably wouldn't run it.
yeah.
We probably wouldn't run it in, but so yeah, and then and if Zay hadn't push your man off, then I think he didn't need. If you see the replay, he didn't know he had a step on
I
it.
know,
Ball was slightly in the front anyway. But if we'd have scored those two,
if you call that offensive pass interference, then like the game's fucking gone.
I mean, it was
exactly
by the
the
letter of
same
the law,
thing, didn't he?
but like
But-
it's it's one of those things that you see it in any sport where you can get away with some things, but what you can't get away with is extending the arm.
Yeah.
Like Zay made it really obvious. Chase did it in a very clever way. He does it all the time. Like Zay just made it so easy in front of the ref. Like, yeah, maybe he didn't gain a huge advantage from it. He didn't need to do it. But as soon as you extend your arm and it's a straight out arm, like it's the easiest call they're going to give.
On Joe Burrow and that Bengals performance last night. So yeah, early on, they schemed up a couple of creative plays for Joe Burrow to try and get the ball out quick and get some early receptions and build that confidence. We've heard every Raven fan is well versed in that phrase, play like a Raven. I didn't see any of that last night from anybody. You've got a QB there who for years has struggled with injuries. Just come back from turf toe, and thanks to Nathan the other night, I now know how bad that is. It was kind of it kind of seemed a little bit too easy, and there was I don't know whether it was far too respectful or whether, again, and then this comes down to coaching, whether it was they were ill prepared, and whether just looked devoid of any motivation, like do something. There is absolutely nothing there, and again, like it takes me an awful lot to be in a head coach out position. I can say that with confidence, with me being an Everton fan for 35 years. Stuck with so many managers for far too long for my own good health. But I just think, top down, if they're gonna make a change, if you're gonna get rid of your OC this off season, maybe Zach Orr has done enough to warrant another go next year, but I think that he forgets about that if they do make a change at head coach. And for me, I am firmly in that point now of, I know he's under contract till 27, but Steve, you need to pull the plug. And on John Harbaugh, some stuff has come out, this afternoon. This afternoon in America, so relatively recently. NFL insider Jacina Anderson has reported that a long-time head coach is considered a change of scenery for the 2026 season. The quote reads, "Keeping tabs as we approach carousel season, league sources are eyeing 5 more NFL teams with projected openings at head coach. As of where things stand today, while waiting to collect more data on a 16-2. Meanwhile, there is a long-time head coach out there who is considering wanting a change of scenery and has told others of these thoughts. If he acts on those lingering feelings, obviously his departure would clearly add to the list of these vacancies. I'm not against John Harbaugh because he's a Super Bowl champion. He's a Hall of Fame head coach. He's a 178 to 109 career record. He's still got a job in his hands to try and fix the 2025 Ravens, but I just feel like now we're at that point where are they confident enough and stick with John Harbaugh? And you look at for example, you start calls about Lamar Jackson. You know, how many years has Lamar got on his extension? 2, 3.
Number 2, I think. It needs to be reshuffled soon again. So
His cap hit's
Yeah.
massive next year, isn't it? So
yeah,
I'd imagine we'll do
So,
something else season on that.
and you look at it and go, can you afford to have another year, 2 years of John Harbaugh when you've got a QB like that who he's not getting any younger. I mean, we seen last season, again I'll say it, his third MVP year. I'm confident that this isn't like a serious regression. I just think it's a down season. I think the injuries have took a toll on him in the off season and then obviously early on in this season. But I am at that point now where I'm like, I'd be starting to shop around and looking for a new head coach.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. I think he needs to do the right decision before it becomes a bit like the end of Mice and Men, and he just gets asked to look out on the alfalfa. As a GCSE English reference for you.
Just take him in the
Didn't
back
do
of the woodshed.
Yeah.
Didn't do it.
I mean, go back to what you said at
Nah.
the start of that monologue. Talking about play like a Raven, this is a bold take and probably controversial, but we haven't played like a Raven for fucking years. I don't think we've played like a Raven since, Ed Reed, Ray Lewis. Like that's the play like a Raven, and we haven't done it since they left. We don't have players. We haven't had players for years that really just fucking go for it, and they'll make those hard hits. They'll just put the fear into people, and they'll have that aggression to be like, right, this is going to be all night long. This is what's going to happen. You're on the floor like all night long. We don't have that. It hasn't happened for years. Conversation of play like a Raven. Well, that's not a thing anymore. Like it just doesn't exist at the moment. It hasn't done.
Yeah, I think that left with sort of Steve Smith, didn't it? Really is the sort of the last one. One.
Marshall Yanda, and I mean, obviously guard, but he was in that culture. He was in that locker room. He was an absolute fucking monster. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think they know what being a Raven is. We hear time and time again, like, you're not a Raven until you've beat the Steelers. That's just not. That's not enough. I don't see anything from them. Like, it comes back to top down. What is the fucking culture? What is going on day in, day out at the castle when they're at the bank? Where's this coming from? Has John Harbaugh stagnated? Has the organisation stagnated?
I suppose it's with all these things, winning sort of cures all, doesn't it? And I mean, towards the end of last season, maybe the year before, maybe when we're going out there, and we know Henry's going to get close to 90, 100 yards a game. Teams are worried about that. It was super confident then. We're having the blackout games and just looks imposing, putting your will upon people, making them get out of the way, but it doesn't. Yeah, like I said, that doesn't happen anymore. We're relying on Henry to break off one big run a game, and I think I said before, he looks to me like he's lost a step, and that's probably because he's just getting hit in the backfield all the time. But I don't see it as well. It's a tough one. How do you fix that? Who are we going to get in? I suppose that's a question for Phil later in the week, next week. He'll probably know more than us. But
yeah. Well,
I think we all know what Phil will say. Go to the
Notre Dame man.
Notre Dame head coach.
Go ahead.
Maybe that is the way. Maybe it is. Like, okay, you look at Seattle. Even to an extent, obviously I know Vrabel had a vast experience with Tennessee, but still a young coach. Mike McDonald in Seattle, a rookie head coach, young, and maybe that is the way. And go, this is going to be our guy now for the next 5-6 years.
We had that opportunity and we missed it, though, didn't we? So.
Yeah, and
just,
I mean, not. I mean,
lack of action, wasn't it? I know everyone sort of loves Zach, or I just don't see him being head coach in the next 2 years.
I'm talking about bringing in,
Yeah.
a young rookie head coach, mate. Somebody who's had success at college level. You've got Phil mentioned that obviously Notre Dame the head coach at Indiana, who has won absolutely everywhere where he's gone. And maybe it's going to take a brave move like that to kind of kickstart this. And it sounds mad that we're saying kickstart the organization because the Ravens have been winning for so long, but the Ravens win for so long and then get to a point and just go, oh, shit the bed. Mummy. I've had a nightmare.
Yeah, you say that now, but you wait till next week we absolutely batter Mason Rudolph-led Steelers. Come back.
That's what I thought we were going to do against the Burrows. That's what I called after the last 2 weeks of absolutely playing shit and getting a win, where really we played really shit the last 2 weeks. I said on the last pod, this is going to be a real statement game. We're going to come out, we're going to make amends for the last 2 shit weeks and just absolutely punish Sparrow, make him realise that he shouldn't have come back already, make him feel shit.
Oh, we have one sack. We have one sack. What do you want?
Yeah, from our secondary. From our secondary. From a guy with a claw for a hand who's fucking Dr. Zoidberg. Like, that's the person that sacked him. The person who hasn't even got 2 working hands.
It wasn't Alex. It wasn't Alex Brooker, was it?
Might as well have been. He probably would do a better job.
But that goes back to what I was saying earlier on before I went on that, kind of King's speech monologue about Joe Burrow and then coaching. One sack against it's just effort. Like us, as sports fans, and they were taking this away from American football. We all have our sports in the UK and sports teams in the UK that we'd love or loathe to love. In DT's case with Cardiff, but like week in, week out, there's going to be difficult games. There's going to be a bad result. Like bad results happen in sport, and they can be acceptable if there's effort, and there's none of it, and it just stinks of just mediocrity, just across the board, just getting away with shit. No accountability. Do you know what it is? No accountability. Like, I'm not being too harsh on, but the likes of Likely, Flowers, and Lamar for giving the fumble. Like, defense have given you the chance. Defense whose back everyone has been on it, they've given you a chance in this game.
Bailed you out.
Like, them three take accountability and step up. Team meeting in the week and be like, that that's on us, but we can't allow this to happen. We're standing up here now showing accountability. We now need all of you to stand up with us and go, we're not standing for this shit anymore, because it can't carry on. I mentioned earlier on in this season that I think the Ravens could possibly win out. Over the last 2 games before Thanksgiving weren't great, but they got wins. Obviously got defeated last night. I now look at it and go, it just on the back of them 3 performances and that 1 defeat, I now look at it and go, where I can't see the Ravens finishing anywhere near where I thought they were going to finish 3 weeks ago when I made that prediction. Maybe we just need to stop making predictions, because some of them fucking scoreline predictions we made the last couple of weeks have been fucking awful. I couldn't shoot fish in a barrel. I'd bet on a one-horse race and lose.
I don't sort of relish the prospect of Drake May going up against our secondary, given all the day to fucking throw it in the pocket and just dice us apart. And the same with Jordan Love, he's had his ups and downs, but it just seems to me, when, like I said earlier, we kid ourselves playing these bad teams with bad QBs. As soon as a decent QB comes across, we just fall apart. It just takes us apart.
Well, it doesn't matter. We've got a shit QB or a bloody grandfather QB next week in the Steelers, and we'll probably still shit the bed, and that's going to be a tough game. We'll obviously cover that on the next pod, but I would have felt confident going into it if it wasn't for yesterday. But Steelers tend to have our number more often than not recently, and if there was ever a game to make a statement, it's going to be that one. So this slightly longer time between games might be a blessing, where they can absolutely get their shit together, get everyone in a room, give them the right bollocking, and watch a shitload of tape.
Because we've already had a bye week, and then we had a mini bye week after it, and it's still been shite.
I wonder if
Well,
we
it's
hear
another mini
about.
buy.
Wonder if we hear about Tuesday or Wednesday. Maybe they'll have had one of those player-only meetings where nothing really comes of it, but it just sounds good in the media.
It's a statement.
And that maybe that is they take on board what you said, Tom, and they'll because we know Todd Monken listens to it, so we'll maybe they'll have a word with each other and sort it out. But it's as with anything, no O-line, no D-line is going to hit it's a hard day at the office.
Yeah, come on, Todd. I know you listen. I know it's hard when Lamar's fumbling the ball and players are dropping the catches and people are making silly pass interference, but you've got to do better, mate.
Maybe the friction that Todd Monken feels when he's taking his play call sheets in and out of his trouser bottoms have caused a couple of them sheets to be sticky, and that's why we're not seeing a full range of play calling from Todd Monken.
He's stuck on the first page. You can't get anything else. So just go through the same page over and over again.
stuck on the first page, trying to get to Lucy Pinder, and he's just not getting there.
This first page is just talking about how they're going to run out from the change rooms out of the tunnel at the opening fireworks.
The massive who's got it better than us at the top. Yeah,
fucking nobody, John. Fucking nobody.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, you can say all you want about wanting a new head coach. John's going upstairs, Jim's coming in. You're gonna fucking like it or lump it. The horrible dynasty continues.
Take it at this stage.
Richard will love it. Richard will love it.
Oh yeah, he goes out for a beer. Love it.
Yeah, he can go for a beer with him.
Oh, Golden Arches himself. Yeah, he loves that
shit. Anything else before we wrap up, gents?
No, I need a couple of days to digest, recover before talking about the next game.
It gives me a headache. Like the Ravens would give an aspirin a headache at the moment. It's utter bollocks, isn't it? But we go again. We'll carry on watching it all hours if I wake up. Ollie, thank you very much.
Cheers for having me, lads.
No worries. DT, it's a pleasure as always.
Absolutely pleasure.
As I've been Thomas, they've been DT and Oliver. Together we've been Ravens Across the Pond, brought to you by the Across the Pond Sports Network. Follow us on X, Instagram at Ravens Across the Pond, YouTube, Ravens Across the Pond. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button, drop a comment, helps the algorithm out. We are the most viewed European Ravens podcast based on views and listenership. So thank you very much for all the support. We try and keep it loose. We try and have a bit of chaos because what we watch on our screens week in, week out is chaos. You may notice tonight that we have been drinking. It's just a Friday night in the UK. That's what we do. The Ravens haven't driven us to white spirits. Yeah, thank you very much. We'll catch you on the next one.
Cheers, lads.